about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements. Yeah, I lost my way, but I can't tell about a heaven in Alberta, where they've got all hell for basements.
Hi, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. How's it going, eh? Welcome back, and thank you for joining me here for another live stream, New West Reset Live, episode 54 today. On this earlier edition, Friday, February 23rd, 2024, just a little bit past 3 p.m. local time, mountain time here. And as always, we're coming at you live from Calgary in beautiful Alberta, up in Canada land there, eh, buddy? Purdy Alberti, and she was purdy today. Still is. Plus 10 Celsius. It's like 50 Fahrenheit out there. Not bad, considering this is normally our coldest month. You know, January, February is kind of the coldest 2 months of the year, at least around these here parts. So it was a lovely day today. A fella actually went outside and just went for a walk and looking around, found some stuff, shot some footage. That'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. In the meantime, what are we doing here today for the show? Well, we're going to be looking at the Hermetic secrets of the, I call it the Winnipeg Legislature, but technically it's the Manitoba Legislature, but the building itself is in Winnipeg. So there's some weird and wild wonders over in Winnipeg that we're going to be looking at here today. In the meantime, hello, howdy, welcome. Thanks again for shooting in. Appreciate it. Everybody on the YouTubes and on the Rumble, broadcasting live simultaneously. So hello and howdy to everybody. Links below, not only for Rumble, BitChute, MeWe, and a feller's email, but also for everything that we're going to be covering here today. A couple of websites, of course, the Wikipedia with their nonsense, so on and so forth. So if you haven't already, help a guy out, give me one of these, just kind of pushes me out into the algorithms as we make our way towards 1,500 subscribers. 7 watching right now. I know it's a little bit of an earlier start. I'm starting a couple hours earlier. I'm kind of making up for, was it last week where I started later because I had to work later in the day. So, today, I'm going to be honest with you. I like bouncing around a little bit. I like to do the live shows on a Friday, but if I can start it earlier, all the better. A lot of friends of the channel overseas, across the pond over there in the UK and in Europe, and then in the Middle East and Asia, so on. So that way they don't have to get on here and watch a guy doing a live stream at midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So thanks for shooting in. Say hello in the box, in the chat. Say howdy. Let me know where you're shooting in from. Jolly Man is here. Howdy, Jolly Man. Good to see you. Howdy, howdy. Happy Friday, Terry. Terry Light in the box. Barely squeaked in here on time. Yeah, well, at least 2 hours earlier than normal. Holy smokes, look at this. We got somebody from hello from Winnipeg. From Winnipeg Enlightened for Truth 2. Good to see you. Good to see you. Says he had a messed up situation happen at Legislature Building with sound. Oh, were you out there shooting some boots on the ground? A guy kind of hopes you were. I'd be interested in that. Team Heat in the box. How's she going there, eh? Good to see you, bud. Good to see a bunch of fellow Canadians here in the box. Of course, cousin Vinny's here. Yeah, maybe you can a Winnipeg. Is that what now that see that's the thing is I never know, right? Like, somebody from Calgary, Calgarian, right? Somebody from Alberta, Albertan. I was originally born in Montreal, Quebec, so Montrealer, Quebecer, or Quebecois. But there's some places I just don't know, right? Like Torontonian, I think is right. Winnipegger? Is that it? Moose Jawian? See, there's some that are tough, man. But anyways, welcome. Always good to have cousin Vinny here. Winnipegan. Maybe? I'm not sure. Terry says she's a Michiganer, like a duck. Is that a type of duck? Speaking of Michigan, Old World, Michigan, our old friend in the box. Good to see you. Howdy. I just looked. I just got a notification on my monitor. Just right now. Boop! Popped up. 3 centimeters of snow expected for Monday. It's nothing. That's an inch. That's fine. I can deal with that. Michigander. Because she's a lady. No, wait, gander's the male. Goose and gander. Goose is the female, gander's the male. I don't know. I think that's right. Winnipegger LOL. The rotunda echoed so loud that all the MPs slammed their doors almost all at once. My brother and in-law felt really sick. All of a sudden ran out of there. Oh, yeah, he was playing a flute. They're upset. They're upset by music. That's just silly. It's just silly, if you ask me. Anyways, as per usual here, we're going to get into it momentarily. We're going to look at some of the official story of the legislature building, the ledge, as they call her, over in the peg. By the way, I know I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it again. Canada makes fun of a couple of cities in particular here in Canadian land, Edmonton and Winnipeg. You know what? I love Winnipeg. Beautiful city. A feller's got a hunch that was in the old world, a big golden city or a white city, like Chicago or what have you. It was a major transportation hub. It still is to some extent. Some fabulous old world buildings in Winnipeg and in other towns and cities in Manitoba for that matter. That's the word a guy was looking for that matter. A couple of star forts in Manitoba as well. I like Edmonton too, actually, and this spring/summer, probably early summer. I'm going to take a road trip up to Edmonton, do some boots on the ground of my old stomping grounds. And speaking of legislature buildings, I'll be checking out the Alberta Legislature Building up in Edmonton, our capital city here in Purdy, Alberta. What else is coming up this here summer? Going to do a meetup hoping to do a 1,500 subscriber meet. I thought the subscriber thing is really just arbitrary. It's really just an excuse to do a meetup with a bunch of you, thinking it's going to be Inglewood, just beyond the East Village, just past Fort Calgary. Inglewood here in Calgary. Calgary's oldest, or one of the oldest neighborhoods. There's lots to see on the main drag that runs through there, but there's a few streets that shoot off of the main hub or the main high street that have some beautiful churches and other stuff. So going to be looking at doing that this summer as well. Of course, boots on the ground every Sunday here on the channel. Every Friday, do the show live. So if you're joining me, welcome. If you're tuning in after the fact and watching this afterwards, thank you very much. Appreciate all of your support as well. So we'll get into it here, and then, of course, as per usual, midway through the show, we'll take a little bit of a break, and I'll give you a sneak peek at your midweek, which is every Wednesday here on the channel. Vintage footage. In this one, I've got snow removal footage, although there's hardly any snow left on the ground here in Calgary, but I mean, it is Canada after all. It's still winter. So on my boots on the ground videos and on some of my vintage footage video uploads, still going to be seeing snow related subject matter. It's not all going to be terrible, like struggling to get rid of all the snow and ice. So some of it will be fun stuff, winter carnivals and skiing and ice skating. Maybe some hockey, or as my friends and neighbors to the south in the United States call it, ice hockey. The Brits call it ice hockey too. Light for Truth says Fort Severn is a star fort. Fort Severn. So once again, welcome. Thank you very much for shooting in and joining me here. Frankie, New West Reset, a New West Reset Live, episode 54 here today. Just after 3 p.m. local time, mountain time. Lovely sunny day. Windows wide open, so you're gonna hear the train chugging by. You're gonna be hearing some sirens, because you know the Bow Trail is about 200-300 yards from me, 300 yards ish. Get the railroad tracks, then the Bow River, and then Memorial Drive, Bow Trail in there. So inevitably, you're going to hear an ambulance or a fire truck or the cops, right? You know, Terry's already anticipating the sirens on her Friday here on the show. By the way, big shout out once again, and thank you very, very much to Terry for helping out with last week's show, doing all the research, gathering a whole bunch of photos, links to websites. That was a lot of fun looking into that. So thanks again. Tip of the hat to Terry. Speaking of which, with websites and links and whatnot, what do you say we get this dumpster fire on the roll here? Let's just see what the Wikipedia says off the bat here. Actually, no, I lied. I bullface lied to you. Let's look at the Goggle maps first, just to have an idea of where exactly we're talking about in Canada land here. Just kind of zoom it out a little bit so you can see what's what. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here with yours truly. Appreciate it as always. Happy Friday to you. Or maybe it's early Saturday for you or something. If so, thanks for shooting in. Appreciate it. So here we are, Canada land right here. So beautiful province of Manitoba, just 2 provinces east where a guy is here in Calgary. And there she is, Winnipeg, Manitoba. You could see, I mean, it's right on the Trans-Canada Highway, but you could see geographically from east to west, it's pert near, as they say, pert near smack dab in the middle. And it's a nice link up down into some of the busier Great Lake states in the U.S., right? Minnesota and Illinois, Michigan, of course, Indiana and Ohio. These were major transportation hubs in the U.S. back in the old world, and to some extent still today, Pennsylvania, New York, of course. So yeah, there's where we're going to be looking at, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Let's see what Wikipedia gives us in terms of Winnipeg. See what they saying, the official story and so on. Turtle. Howdy, howdy. Oh, well, cheers to you, Terry. Really, really great work. Yeah. I think it was very important as well. Lakes and rivers through there as well. Sort of the, in Canada, you know how in the US, right, St. Louis is kind of known as the gateway to the West. Winnipeg has that moniker, the gateway to the West. And then Calgary's the, the gateway to the New West, the gateway to the Rockies. So let's see what's going on here on the Wikipedia with Winnipeg, or as many Canadians call it, Winterpeg, because their winters are brutal. Still a beautiful city, though. So it's the capital and largest city in the province of Manitoba in Canada. It's centered on the confluence of the Red River and the Assiniboine River, near the longitudinal center of North America. As of 2021, Winnipeg had a city population of 750,000 people and a metropolitan population of 835-ish thousand, making it Canada's 6th largest city and 8th largest metropolitan area. City's named after nearby Lake Winnipeg, massive lake, only a tad smaller than the Great Lakes, really. Name comes from Western Cree word for muddy water, not to be confused with the fantastic blues singer Muddy Waters. Jabaroo Joe in the box says, how come they haven't changed the name to Person Toba yet? I'm sure Justine Trudeau is on that lickety split. So the region was a trading center for Indigenous peoples, fur traders of European descent, mostly Ojibwa, Cree, Dakota, and it's the birthplace of the Métis Nation, which is half Indigenous First Nations, Native Indian, for lack of a better term, and half European, generally French, and in some cases Scottish. Yeah, well, they have problems with, there's evidence of old world reset catastrophic event like mudflood, but Winnipeg in general has problems with flooding, just generally speaking. Every few years, warranted, guarantee, lock it, put it in your pocket, and take it straight to the bank. Winnipeg's going to have a flood. Or, one of the smaller cities or towns downstream from Winnipeg. Mudfloody Waters, we should start a band. Phil Henry's here. He says he was born in Plymouth. Ah, there you go. Plymouth. Great. That's great. Okay, so we give a little bit of the early history, so on and so forth. Evidence provided by archaeology, petroglyphs, rock art, and oral history indicates that native peoples used the area in prehistoric times for camping, harvesting, hunting, tool making, fishing, trading, and farther north for agriculture. So in other words, living. They lived there. They had towns, indigenous towns and settlements here. Just say it. You don't have to give us all the hootenanny. Just say it. They don't want to say it, though. They don't want to say that potentially Canadian indigenous peoples were as far advanced as perhaps the Mississippi peoples of the United States. No, they didn't build mounds and stuff up in Canadian land. It's too cold up there. BS. Done shows on that in the past. Was there really? Cousin Vinny's saying there was a Winnipeg band called Orphan in the 80s. Really? Huh. But look at that. Practically neighbors. Plymouth is just half a county away. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, in 1869 to 1870, present-day Winnipeg was the site of the Red River Rebellion, a conflict between the local provincial government of Métis, led by Louis Riel, and newcomers from Eastern Canada. So yeah, there was a big bloody battle there. I remember learning about that in school. It was terrible. Winnipeg, I'm just kind of skimming over this. Link in the description, of course, as per usual. Winnipeg developed rapidly after the coming of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1881. They got it early because they're so far east. They got it 5 years before Calgary did. Good on you. The railway divided the North End, which housed mainly Eastern Europeans, from the richer Anglo-Saxon southern part of the city. Well, isn't that nice? It also contributed to a demographic shift beginning shortly after Confederation, which was 1867. That saw the Francophone population decrease from a majority to a small minority group. This shift resulted in Premier Thomas Greenway controversially ending legislative bilingualism and removing funding for French Catholic schools in 1890. Aha. Get out of Manitoba, Frenchies, especially Winnipeg, I guess, for some reason. By 1911, Winnipeg was Canada's third largest city. However, the city faced financial difficulty when, here we go, this is going to sound familiar to many of my American friends, when the Panama Canal opened in 1914. The canal reduced reliance on Canada's rail system for international trade. The increase in shipping traffic helped Vancouver to surpass Winnipeg in both prosperity and population by the end of World War I. Winnipeg was bigger than Vancouver. Vancouver is basically Calgary's Los Angeles mishmashed with Canada's Los Angeles mishmashed with Canada's version of Seattle. Beautiful city, big city, right on the Pacific coast. Nestled right in the mountains there on the eastern or western slopes of the foothills of the mountains there. But at one time, Winnipeg was bigger than Vancouver. Vancouver is Canada's third largest city. So that's saying something. More than 30,000 workers walked off their jobs in May 1919 in what came to be known as the Winnipeg General Strike. The strike was a product of post-war recession, labor conditions, the activity of union organizers, and a large influx of returning World War I soldiers seeking work. After many arrests, deportations, and incidents of violence, the strike ended on June 21st, 1919, when the Riot Act was read. Group of Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers charged a group of strikers. 2 strikers were killed and at least 30 others were injured on the day that became known as Bloody Saturday. So not without some trials and tribulations in Winnipeg. See what else we've got bookmarked here. Well, you know what? We might as well just get right into this. Well, why goof around, right? No sense messing around here now. This is from photojourneys.ca website, a photographer's website. Took some nice shots of the Manitoba Legislature Building. Again, links for everything in the description below. I'm not going to harp too much on the photos because I've downloaded some nice ones that we can scrutinize after the mid-show break. We can zoom in on them real nice and so on. But this article, as per usual, starts off very dramatically to hook you in, right? But It was an adventure the likes of the Da Vinci Code, complete with ancient symbols, hidden clues, and secret society rituals. But with one big difference: this code busting escapade was for real. The unlikely setting was the Manitoba Legislative Assembly Building in Winnipeg, the Ledge. Its dome topped by the brilliant statue of the Greek god Hermes, commonly called the Golden Boy. It was on the front steps of the stately building that we met Don Finkbeiner. Finkbeiner? Yeah, Finkbeiner. Of Heartland International Travel and Tours. Right from the start, it was apparent that this wasn't going to be your run-of-the-mill historical tour. There's the Golden Boy. We'll get into that later in the show. This masquerades as a house of government, said Dawn. It's actually a temple in disguise. Not just any temple. It's modeled after King Solomon's temple. Our heads never stopped spinning for the next hour and a half as he ushered us through a beguiling world of ancient Greek, Roman, and Egyptian gods, cosmology, numerology, alchemy, and the occult, liberally sprinkled with pagan, Christian, and Masonic imagery. Ooh. On the surface, this is simply a fine government building with elaborate decorations. It was architectural historian Dr. Frank Albo who unlocked its secrets after 10 years of painstaking research. It began when Frank, then a student at the University of Winnipeg, wondered why the legislature had statues of Egyptian sphinx on the roof. Looking further, he found the building packed with mysterious symbols that aren't at first obvious. The building was the brainchild of Liverpool architect Frank Worthington Simon. He was awarded the commission in 1912 by a committee that included Manitoba's premier Rodman Roblin. It can't be that fool's real name, really? Come on. And some senior members of government who were, oh, surprise, Freemasons, a benevolent society big on symbolism and secret rituals. Simon not only incorporated Masonic designs, but added complex layers of ancient, pagan, and religious symbols, all intended for the betterment of society. His modus operandi was that if you want to hide something, hide it in plain view. So if it's for the betterment of society, why hide it? Even if it is in plain view. And why use all kinds of symbolism? Just out with it, man. Anyway, moving on here. When Don learned of Frank Albo's findings, he was immediately hooked. They teamed up to bring this intriguing story to the public through specialized Hermetic code tours. So you could take one of these creepy Freemason tours of the ledge in the peg. Yeah, that's right, Vinny. Vincent says, this all sounds on the up and up to me. As we entered the main hall of the building, we came face to face with two large bronze bison statues, symbolic of Manitoba. Or are they? Don explained that ancient temples always had a room of protection guarded by two large horned bulls to ward off evil. Use bison, and most people don't give it a second thought, but the guardians still fulfill their protective role. Yeah, they're male bison, so they're still bulls. There just happen to be bison bulls as opposed to cattle bulls. Other symbols to battle evil adorned the room, including the face of Medusa with her hair made of snakes. Now, when you turn to stone, if you locked eyes with Medusa, so it's kind of evil in its own, but apparently, yeah, part of the history of the character we know as Medusa was that she was used to ward off evil. So, okay. There it is. Just one glance at her would send evil packing. Oh, I thought it was you turned to stone. 8 cattle skulls form part of the decorations. Cattle skulls in a prairie setting might seem perfectly normal, but to Simon, this wasn't a Western motif. Back in the day, when cattle sacrifices were in vogue, their skulls were hung as protective symbols. The guy's really into the protective symbol thing. Numbers and more numbers. The extensive use of numbers as symbols of power is mind-boggling. The main hall is square, measuring 66 feet 6 inches on each side, while 666 is associated with the devil in the Bible. It also has a wider and more positive significance. Excuse me. To the Egyptians and Babylonians, 666 was the number of the sun god who ruled the 36 constellations in the sky. Add up the numbers 1 to 36 and we get the 666. Wearing an amulet with 666 on it was a way of covering your bases and currying favor from all the gods. Get out of here. I think they're just trying to tell us that so that we lay down our guard when it comes to the that number. William Powell's is here. Good to see you. My pal Bill. Number 13 is everywhere also, it says. From 13-foot long bison to the grand staircase with 3 sets of 13 steps, 13 stones on the entrance archway, or 13 lights in every hallway. On one level, 13 represents Christ and the 12 apostles, but it's also part of the powerful Fibonacci sequence, 3, 5, 8, 13, etc., where any number is the sum of the previous 2 numbers. Divide any number by the number before it, and we get an average of 1.618, known as the golden ratio. The most aesthetically pleasing proportion found in nature and used extensively in architecture. Groupings of 5s and 8s loom large throughout the building as well. Yeah, nature with the golden ratio and the Fibonacci sequence, think snail shell, for example. Chassis Nick's in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. Thanks for shooting in. The altar in the sanctuary. Don led us up the grand staircase, across the mosaic floor, patterned after the grand floor of Solomon's temple, to the rotunda, 13 feet across, by the way. Here we looked down to the lower level to see the pool of the black star, representing the second essential part of a temple, the sanctuary and altar. How do they know what the floor in Solomon's temple looked like, by the way? Don referred us to an old guidebook to the building from 1925 that talked about sacrifices in a setting such as this in the ancient world, complete with an altar, white-robed worshippers, a victim, a curved knife, and blood trickling through the veins of marble. Heady stuff for a guide to a building where elected lawmakers work. Not really, if you think about some of the laws that they've put into practice. But anyway, Tartarian prog rocker in the box. Howdy, howdy. Who came along 2,000 years ago and put an end to sacrifices in temples? Asked John rhetorically. It was Christ, so maybe we should see if there are any representations of Christ hidden in plain view. Nothing was obvious. But by now, we were beyond being surprised. At the back of the rotunda, a huge mural portrays the First World War, which was raging during the construction. So I guess not all the men went off to fight in the war. It ostensibly shows the aftermath of battle, with a badly wounded soldier being helped along by his comrades. Simon hired muralist Frank Brangwyn from Brussels. So a guy from the UK and a guy from Brussels. No Canadians, I guess, could be an architect or a painter in the 20s, supposedly. But okay. Who studied the same Paris art school as Simon, and was known for embedding Christian images in his paintings. Once Don pointed out the details, it became obvious that the painting also depicts the Passion of Christ. The wounded soldier even has a nail hole in one hand. What looks like the long barrel of an artillery piece is also the pole of the cross. Hidden near the top of the painting is a representation of Madonna and Child. Right here. Interesting. The Holy of Holies. The most important room in Solomon's temple was the Holy of Holies, built to house the Ark of the Covenant, containing the tablets with the 10 Commandments. Only the high priest could enter, and only on special occasions. Don led us to the door of a little-used room off to the side, its entrance framed by 2 pillars, using a design from Solomon's temple. The security guard unlocked the door, and we peered into the reception room of the Manitoba government's most important figure, its high priest, if you will, the lieutenant governor. Look at this fancy schmancy office this clown has. The fairly small, though ornate square room measures 24 feet by 24 feet. The Holy of Holies was 20 by 20 cubits, according to the Bible. Conversions are difficult because a cubit refers to the distance from a person's elbow to the fingertips, so measurements can vary widely. However, the Masons used 14.4 inches as one of their conversions, so 20 cubits, 24 feet. There's a train going by if you hear that roaring. Diesel locomotive whizzing by. So far, so good. The room matches the size of the Holy of Holies, but surely this impossible story will fall apart after this. We can clearly see the entire room. It would be quite a stretch to suggest that the Ark of the Covenant could be represented here. The Ark was said to be hidden behind a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet. This room does have blue curtains, which seem promising at first, yet behind them, we only see a window. That still where we have to look, explained Don with a grin, but outside where it's hidden in plain view. Yeah, he loves this hidden in plain view, this guy. Quest for the Lost Ark. We headed outside where Don described the many intricate designs and statues covering the building. The 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water are represented. Front columns were built in exact proportion to the size of Hermes using the golden ratio. It's a glorious building. I mean, even if you just look at the overall basic architectural signatures, right? The pillars with the capitals, the pediment, this sort of dental work, dogtooth design. Lovely. One statue is of General James Wolfe, who whooped the French on the Plains of Abraham, a significant historical character. Yet what is the connection with Manitoba? Turns out that his place of prominence has more to do with him being a noble Freemason, one of the earliest in Canada. So yeah, he didn't really have anything to do with Winnipeg or Manitoba. But he's there. Why? Well, because he was a Freemason. Then there are those curious Egyptian sphinxes that first set Mark Albo on his 10-year quest. It would be easy to dismiss them as mere decorations, since Egyptian motifs were all the rage a century ago. But when Frank went on the roof for a closer view, we saw the hieroglyphics on the lower part of the Sphinx, translated as the everlasting manifestation of the sun god Ra. I think that's supposed to be Ra. The good God who gives life. The hieroglyphics aren't visible from the ground, so they would have no purpose as decoration. It's not always the case. Not only the hieroglyphics in the Sphinx, but the ledge and the peg, but just in general, all the fanciest of the ornamentation on the old world structures seem to be up out of plain view. You got to be in a building across the street, looking out the window to admire it, or in a dirigible flying by or something. You know what I'm saying? Finally, we came to the east side of the building where Don pointed to the sculpture just above the lieutenant governor's window. It portrays a box, usually described as a war chest guarded by 2 warriors. Frank once crawled on the roof to measure the box, almost falling off in the process. He found that its proportions exactly matched the Ark of the Covenant. Kind of looks like it, yeah. Why Winnipeg? So why Winnipeg of all places for such an extraordinary building? In the early 20th century, this was the fastest growing city in North America, a boom town on steroids where everything was possible and only the best would do. How many times have we heard that? One of the fastest growing cities in North America, in the early 20th century. You can say that about almost any city in North America. Winnipeg had more millionaires per capita than New York City. And the commodities market was outselling the more famous exchange in Chicago. Winnipeg was poised to take its place among the world's great cities. So a new legislative building would have to be a showpiece. I would say that rather than ready to take its place, I would say reclaim its place, its once held great city of the world, the old world. Leaving nothing to chance, it says. Simon's meticulousness in leaving nothing to chance. Construction extended to public ceremonies as well. While the god on the legislature's dome was called Hermes by the Greeks, the Romans knew him as Mercury and even named a planet after him. Lined up directly below the center of the dome, where Hermes or Mercury stands, is the 8-pointed black star on the lower level. By the way, you notice how they keep saying lower level, not main level, lower level. To the Babylonians, this was the star of Ishtar, a fertility symbol associated with the planet Venus. All kinds of planet stuff. Heavenly bodies is my preferred nomenclature. The ceremony to lay the northeast cornerstone, considered the birth of a building to masons, took place at 5:30, doesn't say AM or PM, June 3rd, 1914, precisely when the planets of Venus and Mercury aligned over Winnipeg. Wow! The building's official opening on July 15th, 1920, so it took them 6 years. Okay, well, there you go. Was no accident either, planned for when the two planets again aligned over the booming city. This time with its brand spanking new legislative building and, of course, its ancient temple. So maybe they just worked slowly or delayed the official opening to coincide with the alignment. We'll never look at a building the same way again. You should look at buildings the way we do around here, isn't that right? A bunch of jackasses over there on that website. I don't know what's going on. Although I found that to be very fascinating, because while I have been to Winnipeg a few times, I've never actually, walked around the legislative grounds, gone into the building itself. I was never really in Winnipeg long enough. Once was sort of a stopover, and once was like just for a couple of days, and it was to visit people I knew. And I mean, I wasn't of that mindset anyway. So even if we drove past the legislature building, I would have gone, "Oh, that's nice," and then that would have been the end of it, really. Ooh, what a beautiful building. I wouldn't have jumped out of the car like I would do now, phone in hand, pressing record. So what'd you think of that article? Yeah. Yeah, because every public building needs a huge fertility symbol on the lobby floor for reasons. Yeah, well, who knows, right? They probably arrived on the trains, because it wasn't long after the trains broke into Winnipeg that they started going construction crazy, and the boom began. And as a direct result of that boom, this building went up. Of course, they'll tell you the Freemasons built them. They just built the whole thing. You got to have the Ark of the Covenant in Winnipeg. It's just goofy. Just crazy. Yeah, well, there you go. Or maybe did, but didn't want to write it, maybe. Who knows? But chances are, yeah, got almost there. All right, so I've got another one here. It could potentially, I'm going to maybe skim this one a little bit more briefly, just because this one I think could potentially cover a lot of what mentioned in the previous article. Excuse me, just having a mental hiccup here. It was 2001, and Frank Albel was driving along the Memorial Boulevard headed towards the Manitoba Legislature. There's that Frank Albel guy again. He was 30 years old and had been studying ancient languages at universities in Winnipeg, Toronto, and Amsterdam. But he still hadn't decided what he might do a doctoral thesis on. And that's when the Sphinx caught his eye. He was looking up the Golden Boy, the famous statue on the roof of the Legislature Building, and found himself asking, what on earth are two Egyptian sphinxes doing on the roof of the ledge? One simple question eventually produced a PhD from Cambridge University for his thesis on Freemasonry in British architecture. It also led to a part-time job as a tour guide who sometimes causes security guards at the ledge to roll their eyes, but who far more often leave visitors speechless at the end of a journey through what Dr. Albel calls a architectural Sudoku puzzle. He's been called here's where the drama kicks in. He's been called a lunatic by those who find his contention alarming, that there are deeply religious, at times pagan, undertones to be found throughout the building. He's been called Canada's Dan Brown. There we go again with the Da Vinci Code. There's a great difference between Mr. Brown's books of fiction, whereas Manitoba Legislate is very, very real. So a lot of the same talking points here. Let's see, here we go. On the chests of the two sphinxes, he found the name of Pharaoh Tutmos III, who lived 3,500 years ago, so they say. Found that Golden Boy was merely a nickname given by a newspaper columnist, that in fact the statue was really intended to be the god Hermes or Hermes, son of Zeus, a messenger of the gods. Just as ancient temples had two large horned bulls guarding the entrance, legislature had two male bison. 13 flights of steps, 13 stones, so a lot of that same stuff, the 666s and so on. Just scrolling down here to see if there's anything that okay, yeah, he's convinced it's a temple of Freemasonry, contains religious and numerological and astrology. The holy rooms include one, the lieutenant governor's reception room, same measurements as inner sanctum, Solomon's temple. Yeah, so a lot of that same stuff going on here. The lower floor is a pool of marble, dead center an 8-pointed black star. For 6 years that Dr. Albel has been giving his Wednesday evening tours, he has left one special moment to the very end of his tour. He then stands back on the black star and firmly, in what sounds like the voice of God, says, "Bring back the Winnipeg Jets." He smiles, and they are back, aren't they? It worked. The tour costs $40. Details available online. There's also a book. And yeah, there you go. So if you live in the Winnipeg area and you want to see what this guy has to say about some of the hidden in plain sight occulted symbolism of Freemasonry associated with the ledge in the peg, yeah, I don't know, if you got an extra $40 burning a hole in your pocket, why not? Why not? So as mentioned, I just kind of skimmed over that one. Links for all of these in the description box below. So if you want to click on that and kind of have a look your own self and do a little bit of a deeper dive, be my guest. Headley Man BC in the box. Good day. Yes, give a like. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Give a guy one of these or one of these. You know, it's fine. Whatever. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Channel's in a little bit of a slump right now. You know, YouTube is it's kicking me between the legs for something. Not really sure what. So yeah, every little bit helps. Appreciate the support. Coming up on an hour here. Let's take a quick peek at this Golden Boy narrative. Just going to give you the sort of Wikipedia story on it. We're going to cover it a little bit. Well, I don't know. Might cover it a little bit more deeply after the mid-show break. but it's worth just talking about here real quick because there's some shenanigans with this. There's definitely some shenanigans. Unacceptable living in left field, just getting in. Howdy, welcome. Thanks for shooting in. I appreciate it. Golden Boy, Manitoba. According to the Wikipedia here, the Golden Boy, official name, Eternal Youth and the Spirit of Enterprise, is a northward-facing statue perched on the dome of the Manitoba Legislative Building in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada land. Arguably the province's best-known symbol, the statue was modeled after the Roman god Mercury, or Greek Hermes, and is meant to represent the prosperity and entrepreneurial spirit of Manitoba. Manitobans are very spirited, good people. I will say that. The personal experience, absolutely, for sure. For sure there, eh, bot? Statue depicts a nude, oh my goodness, a nude young man running forward, carrying a torch in one hand and a bundle of wheat in the other. A bundle of wheat. Weighing 1,650 kilograms or just over 3,600 pounds, it stands 5.25 meters or 17 feet tall from the toe to the top of the torch and 14 feet tall from head to toe. When first installed, the tip of its torch at 253 feet above ground was at the tallest point in all of the peg. With the exception of several months in 2002 when the statue was lowered for restoration, including regilding, the Golden Boy has stood atop the legislative building, since its opening. Mr. Beast fan, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for shooting in. So a little background on the history here. The Golden Boy was conceived during the backdrop of World War I by British-born architect Frank Worthington Simon, who also designed the Manitoba Legislative Building that the figure would adorn. So this guy's pulling double duty. He designed the building and he dreamt up the statue. He didn't design the statue, but he kind of dreamt it up and then hired somebody to create it. A little bit more of the railroad narrative here. The construction of Canadian Pacific Railway began to open the West in the late 19th century. As a result, thousands of immigrants began settling in and near Winnipeg in 1881. By 1911, population was huge. They needed a new building, right? So here we go. In the summer of 1915, Simon commissioned Parisian sculptor Georges Gardet, who was a student of the School of Beaux-Arts, of course, to create the statue. Over the next 18 months or so, year and a half-ish, sorta. We don't know, or we're not going to tell you. The men exchanged transatlantic letters and drawings regularly. These documents are now preserved at the archives of Manitoba and Winnipeg. What about transatlantic communications via the old telegraph? Wasn't the transatlantic telegraph around in 1915? Or 18 months-ish after? I don't know. Anyway. Simon prepared the shaft for the statue. Oh my. To be built in two parts. The upper part extended from the statue to the center of the ball where it would fit into the coupling. Was to be built in France. The lower part of the shaft would be built in Winnipeg upon delivery of the statue, as both metals and lathes were needed for the war effort. Obtaining even basic materials for the statue was difficult. In a memo to the Manitoba Minister of Public Works in December 17, Simon explained that it was impossible to obtain the shaft in either England or France, owing to war conditions. Eventually, the upper shaft was constructed in Chicago and shipped to France. So I guess Canada and the US we weren't as involved in the war effort with the metals. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, man. Simon had also wished for the statue to be cast iron from one piece of material without any joints or seams. Given the metal shortage in France, however, several smaller pieces were used. Purchased by the government of Manitoba from France, the statue was completed. Was purchased. Oh, yeah, I guess. It was completed by Gardet in 1918. Cast in bronze by the Barbedien Foundry. Barbedienne Foundry. The factory was bombed out, but the statue was not damaged. So the factory's bombed in WW1. Because that's what you want to do, right? When it's a European conflict, you want to send your most valuable symbol for your fastest growing city in the country, in North America. You want to send it to that war-torn region of the world. No, don't build any of it here in North America. Oh, we want it built in France. Oh, but they're in the middle of a war and there's metal shortages. Oh, we'll just get the metal from Chicago. Well, why didn't you just build it in Toronto or Montreal and bring the metal up from Chicago? Anyway, the statue was placed in the hold of a freight ship for transport to Canada. The ship, here we go. Hold on to your horses now, people. Here it comes. The ship was then commandeered for war service and directed to transport Allied troops and supplies. The statue remained in the ship for the remainder of the war, making 2 trips across the Mediterranean and 5 transatlantic crossings. The statue arrived in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and was shipped by train to Winnipeg, where it was placed atop the Manitoba Legislative Building on November 21st, 1919, in time for the official opening of the Legislative Building in 1920. So even with this shenanigans, oh, well, thank goodness it arrived just in time. Although made of bronze, the statue, originally and officially entitled Eternal Youth of the Spirit of Enterprise, was nicknamed Golden Boy from the onset, as the new bronze figure shied and reflected the sun, making the figure appear to be made of gold. The final cost of Golden Boy, including expenses related to designing, creating, casting, transporting, and lifting the statue to the top of the Legislative Dome, was $13,000 and change Canadian. Howdy, Eric. Good to see you. Yes, please, indeed. Maggot's in the box as well. Good to see Maggot. Howdy. Yeah, he knows a thing or two about molds and casting. Renovation and restoration. In the 40s, the bronze statue was painted gold. This would be followed in 1951 by its first gilding, with 50,000 square inches of 23.5 karat gold leaf, measuring 3.25 square inches per sheet. In 1966, the government of Manitoba had an electric lamp installed atop the torch of the statue, which was first lit on December 31st, 1966. Happy New Year! And to mark Canada's centennial celebration, 1967. That's right, 100th birthday from 1867. Our born-in day as a country, supposedly. A little bit more shenanigans here, as in 2002, the statue required repair because rust was accumulating on the inside of its hollow core, and its iron supports were eroding away. How they would know this, I don't know. I guess regular inspecting, perhaps? Alpha Masonry, the general contractor for the restoration project, lowered the statue to the ground for a complete overhaul and regilding on February 9th, 2002. The Golden Boy returned to the ground in a custom-made aluminum cage after almost 83 years in its place. It was regilded with a micro-thin coat of 23.75 karat this time gold leaf, and a climate-controlled enclosure in full view of the public. During the restoration, the statue was also placed on public display at the Manitoba Museum and the Forks National Historic Site. So they moved it around while they were repairing it and regilding it? Okay. Prepared by Bristol Aerospace with a custom manufactured paint from Germany. The statue was regilded using 4,000 sheets of extra heavy gold leaf. New steel support post was installed by ISIS Canada. Oh, sure, why not? Accompanied by a structural health monitoring system. Monitors and gauges for measuring vibrations and strain, as well as for wind stress and temperature effects on the statue and support structure. It's a lot of hullabaloo, isn't it? The Golden Boy was returned to the Legislative Building and reinstalled on the dome September 5th, 2002. It was rededicated by Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, during her 2002 Golden Jubilee Tour of Canada the following month. Golden Boy, Golden Jubilee, with the Queen. Oh, isn't that lovely? The restoration cost a total of $1.1 million in Canadian monopoly money. So, I don't know, 700 grand US. The rebuilding cost 34 grand, with the gold leaf costing 5,600. New gilding is expected to last 25 to 30 years. Since its restoration, the Golden Boy's torch is no longer lit because its electrical cord had been one of the causes of the rust found in 2002. Instead, is lit at night by floodlights. Way to go, jackasses! It still can't get it right in 2002. The electrical cord for the torch is causing some rust in there. Idiots. It was fine for 87 years till they started messing with it. Bunch of clowns. The Golden Boy was modeled on Giovanni da Bologna's 16th century sculpture of the Roman messenger god of trade, profit, and commerce, Mercury. The sheath of wheat in the statue's left arm represents the fruits of labor, while the torch in its right hand represents a call to youth to join his eternal pursuit of a more prosperous future. Statue faces a north direction, pointing towards the Manitoba region to symbolize its importance as a provider of important natural resources and economic opportunity. Manitoba Golden Boy is a traditional fiddle tune in the statue's honor. The chorus includes the following. He's a symbol of success, the gateway to the West, and he's our legendary pride and joy. The Golden Boy. The Golden Boy on the ledge in the peg. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. No? What do you think? Let me know in the box what the shenanigans of the Golden Boy. Where are we at here? Oh, we're just right around an hour. Look at that. Just right around an hour. So I think what I'm going to do here is take a mid-show break, a quick little break, give you a sneak peek at your upcoming vintage footage video for Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. This one is some guys fighting to remove snow. It's not super old footage. It's from the 40s. From Montreal, but really neat equipment and a really interesting way that they handled removing the snow, because they can't just like shovel it to the side. They gotta like scoop it up and put it in a truck and haul it the hell out of there. They can't leave it there, eh? It's, you know, people in traffic and stuff, and streetcar trolley, so we've got to get by, and you know what I mean. So I think we'll do that. It's about 3.5-4 minute video. And we'll come back and we'll have a look at some photographs. So, yeah, let me just get this thing queued up here. All right. So this is called Fight Snow. I hope you enjoy the tunes that go along with the pictures. And we'll be back momentarily.
placid day ripples at the seams. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Start tangle minded, then so become. It's all so subway ground and it's gone. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Go ahead and fight. We get so weary, taking fish off hooks. It's not as effortless as it may look. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Lay down seething, smell our pillows burn, drift off to the place where you think we'd learn. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Do you think about? 'Cause I think you're right out, 'cause I don't wanna fight. Go ahead and fight.
All right, and we are back. Welcome back to the show. Thank you once again for shooting in and joining a fella here. Frankie, New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 54. Friday, February 23rd, 2024, just after 4 p.m. local time, Mountain Time, here in Calgary, Alberta. Thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate it as always, everybody on the HooTubes and on the Rumbles. Links for Rumble, BitChute, MeWe, a feller's email in the description below. Speaking of links in the description, also, Cousin Vinny worked real hard on a project. It's the New West Reset location map. It's Google Maps, basically. What he's done is he's created a location guide. Little logo there, a guy's channel. You click on the logo, takes you directly to the video. Gives you a description of where it's at in the city. It's top-down view map of the city of Calgary and all the places I've done boots on the ground. So big thanks to Cousin Vinny in the box. There he is. There he is. Because you know when you get Frankie Fingers, you're going to get the Cousin Vinny. I mean, that's how it goes, you see. So what you're saying is Frankie Fingers is New West Reset? Frankie Fingers is New West Reset. I don't understand. Okay, I've been trying to tell you. Frankie Fingers is New West Reset. New West Reset is Frankie Fingers. So it's the same guy. Same guy. Yes, it's the same guy, Mutt. What do you think? I've been trying to tell you. Frankie Fingers, New West Reset. Frankie Fingers, New West Reset. Okay? All right, I got it. Jeez. Hey, come on. We like to have fun around here. We like to have fun around here once in a while, you know. By the way, what'd you think of that video with snow removal? I made an error, by the way. It wasn't 1943. It was 1953, I believe. When you see it on Wednesday, right? The upload on Wednesday, your midweek. In the description, it'll give you all the details. But a lot of cold snow, but very efficient at removing the snow. Yeah, higher galoshes. Eric says I'm going to need my Mickey Mouse boots. Oh, yeah, you bust out the headphones for the Tragically Hip there. You know, you got to have the guys got to put the Canadian content out there with the tunes, eh? One of my favorite bands, Canadian or otherwise. Jesse says, if I had a time machine, I'd go back to the last reset and make plaques with all my family's names, put them on all the buildings. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the methodology there, you know, they're just pumping the snow out of and the guys just drive trucks right under it, shooting down a bunch of wet, heavy snow on top of them. That's fine. They're fine. They're totally fine. Yeah, there goes your milk, the milkman bailing, and your mailman, your letter carrier, your postman. It's been a challenge. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's sort of like fail videos before YouTube fail videos. Heck, cannot an idiot land in the winter, as many of you are well aware. All you got to do is just randomly set up a camera and just hit record on some street corner somewhere. Eventually, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, somebody's going to slip and fall on their tuchus. Yeah, I mean, the trucks and the tractors and the snow equipment, the plows and whatnot, you know, they had heaters inside, obviously, at this point. But if you're outside shoveling, you want to layer up, put on some good boots. Yeah, yeah, right. And I get that plow could cut a tree in half, clean in half. Vince says it's the I cyberstalked Frankie map. Very good. Neutral mass in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see how she going there, eh? Jesse says, I'm from Mississippi and our state doesn't even have a snowplow. Yes, Jesse Nix. From the great state of Mississippi. Oh, miss. A friend of the channel here, whom I also follow his channel, Premium Toy Collect. He's from down there in Jackson, Mississippi. Premium Toy Collect, the coolest toy hunter alive. You know, he goes and checks out Lego and Hot Wheels and Star Wars stuff in, like, you know, the toy stores. Cool stuff. You know, if you're a kid at heart and you like to have fun in life, you know, once in a while, yeah, sure, comic books, toys, you know, why not? I still got my bunch of my Pez dispensers. I've got Star Wars Pez dispensers, and I've got Marvel superheroes Pez dispensers like Spider-Man and whatnot. I just got them sitting up on a shelf. I mean, I don't go out and buy new inserts, refills of Pez candy or anything. They're just neat to have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jess says I'll have to find them. My parents deal in antiques. Ah, there you go. There you go. Premium Toy Collect. Let me just grab the link for his channel. Instead of goofing around like a goof. I mean, it's right here in my subscriptions. YouTube at Premium Toy Collect. As I said, the coolest toy hunter alive. Oh, I love Pez. Because they had the themes for all the shows and the movies and the, you know, the pop culture things, right? Same as Hot Wheels too, right? You get like a Hot Wheels. And Hot Wheels cars, by the way, today are still like $2, which is amazing. You get a cool Hot Wheels car for $2. Come on, man. Can't get anything for $2 these days. Not anything good, anyway. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Oh, very neck-breaking action. Yeah, it doesn't have the kung fu grip like the old school G.I. Joes, but it's got the it's got the neck breaking, the real life neck breaking whiplash action, now included in all Pez dispensers. So if you're just shooting in and joining a fella here for the shenanigans, welcome. Thank you very much once again for joining me here. Frankie, New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 54. Hermetic Secrets of the Winnipeg Legislature. Some weird and wild wonders there in the peg, I'll tell you. Links in the description for what we've looked at so far. Plus a couple extra links that I threw in there of some really nice photos. There's a nice website there that shows some beautiful photographs that you can scroll through. But I just grabbed them. A fella just grabbed them so that we can look at them and zoom in on them and stuff. But yeah, links for everything below. Welcome to the show, YouTube, Rumble, Friday. It's 4:20 exactly local time, mountain time here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Up in Purdy, Alberta, it's still 10 degrees Celsius. That's 50 Fahrenheit. Not too bad at all. So I guess, hey, you know, smoke them if you got them. It's legal up here in Canadian land, eh? So, you know, don't stomp my guts out, YouTube. I'm not suggesting anything that's illegal in any way, shape, or form. Once again, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. And again, if you're watching this after the fact, thank you very much. I appreciate your support as well. If you haven't already, Give a guy one of these. Helps to push me out into the algorithm a little bit. In a bit of a slump here with the channel. Every once in a while, yeah, it is what it is, right? Same thing over on the BitChute, actually, which is weird. My videos used to average, between, I don't know, 70-ish and 100 views in, the first 2 days. Now it's like around 30. So I don't know. Now they're starting to hate me over there too. I don't know what it is. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I like having fun hanging out with you folks anyways. Friday's the highlight of my week. Whether I'm working or have the day off, this is the best part of the week. Hanging around with all you fools. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks again for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, maybe you're kicking around the idea of subscribing to a feller. That'd be great. Would certainly appreciate that. Just queuing up some photographs here for us to have a looky-loo at. Where is it now? I lost it. There it is. Yeah, well, I mean, the channel tends to slow down a bit in the winter, to be very, very honest with you, Terry, because let's face it, the buildings that I'm doing boots on the ground, because I still do boots on the ground every Sunday, right? I mean, I don't film it every Sunday, but it's uploaded every Sunday. I might do 2 buildings in the same day or something and upload them separately, but rain or shine or minus 25 degrees Celsius, minus 30 degrees, a guy's going to go out there and do some boots on the ground videos for you. But I'm going to stick close to home because, hey, it's cold and I don't drive, right? So it's not like I got a heated car. I can just pull over, run out, do a loop-de-loo, film a 10-minute video, get back in the car, and everything's hunky-dory. So I stick close to home. So you don't get a lot of the huge, big, really massive, impressive buildings in my little neighborhood. That's when you get closer to the downtown core or, Inglewood, some of those older neighborhoods. So as a result, while some of these buildings are just as detailed, they're not as impressive size-wise, right? So, not as captivating for a lot of the audience as some of the more imposing structures that we have a look at here on the channel. Great question. Great question, Chassie, asking, is there a location in the USA you really want to see in person? I've been to a few places in the US. I've been to Washington State and Oregon, California, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, New York, Vermont, Maine. Where else? Did I say Montana? I think I did. I'd like to see a little bit more of sort of the south, the middle south and the southeast. I haven't really been anywhere down south, to be frank, at all. So anywhere sort of like Missouri and south in there, the Carolinas, Missouri, Kentucky, Mississippi. I'd love to go to Mississippi. I'm kind of a blues cat, and I really dig blues music and jazz. So Mississippi would be awesome to go to. Tennessee, down in that whole region would be fantastic to see. I'd love to see Savannah, Georgia. If you want to talk a specific city, Nolens, Louisiana, Clarksdale, Mississippi, and Savannah, Georgia. Why Clarksdale, you ask? That's kind of a blues mecca. And I have a funny feeling there's a lot more going on in Clarksdale than you might think. Old World Mi'kmaq in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for shooting in and joining a feller here. Eric says, for me, it's all about the quality of the content, not the content itself. Your videos are great. I've been sharing your channel to all my friends. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. I just like to have a good time. I just like to have fun. That's what Dusty Slay would say. I like to have a good time. We're having a good time here. I like to have fun with it. It's such a serious subject matter, on the grand scheme of it, right? Some kind of series of cyclical catastrophes and resets, you know, the lies mixed in with truths on our false historical narrative. It's like trying to pick gnat shit out of pepper, you know. It's such a daunting subject matter, with offshoots of various tangents that you can go on when exploring this subject matter, right? Orphans and all kinds of stuff, of course, right? To mental institutions, old world tech, all this stuff. But generally speaking, right? And a lot of people, when they first start to kind of wake up to these falsities and these lies, you get pissed off. I know I was pissed. I was mad. So, you know, a counterbalance to that is just to have a little bit of fun with it. Doesn't mean that we take it any less seriously around here. I take it very seriously enough to go out there and shoot video of it and to scour the interwebs for hours to find old world video footage and then edit it together with a cool song that somehow can perhaps apply cool lyrics, deeper lyrics. So I enjoy it. I enjoy spending time with all of you good folks, and I enjoy putting together the content for you. So yeah, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. What out of pepper? Gnat shit. Gnat shit. GNAT. Gnat. Gnat shit. What do you say we have some fun looking at some photographs of the ledge and the peg? The Legislative Building in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Basically Canadian version of state capitol buildings in the US. The good old US of A. What are we looking at here? Let's share something here. Yeah, let's share this one for starters. There she is in all her glory. Picture in the 20s here, right? You got some jalopies out front. But even in black and white, just a sight to behold, a beauty. Right there in the middle of the prairies, flat, bald-ass prairies. Again, the gateway to the prairies, gateway to the west here in Canada. Just beautiful with all of these little bijou balconies and these French doors that open up. Pediments here and here, giant pillars with the capitals on top. Huge pediment. And it just keeps going on and up and up. Dome with a cupola with another dome, because Canada likes their double domes there, eh? Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. You guys are turning old Frank into a big softy here now. Come on now. Gonna crack a feller up here. Gonna get all verklempt. I'm gonna get verklempt. It's my pleasure to present some of the shenanigans that I find exploring this great country of Canadanedia. Some of the statues that we see adorning because again, it's not just the building, with a street 20 feet in front of it. That's an entire grounds. It's an entire complex of buildings, gardens, fountains, multiple levels. Some flat earth asterisks here, as Biggs would call these, right? He theorizes that these represent the flat earth, right? The 4 points of the compass. And then the other 4 points representing the upper and lower toroidal field. Also, I've heard it's the theory behind these capitals, the style of capital, as it represents that as well. There she is today in all her glory in full color. I mean, just a beauty. And again, the gardens and everything, just a fantastic place. Locally sourced stone, apparently, from not too far away. And it's big too. You can see by the vehicles here. You got a pickup truck there, and you got an SUV and an SUV. So she's big. These aren't just regular lamps, by the way. It's statues. I mean, it's just this place it's off the chain, as the kids would say. Queen Victoria statue in the front. We'll have a closer look at her as well. Some shots of the interior. You can look up and see the dome, and then you can look down into that lower level. But just exquisite work in here. So there's a different style of capital on these. I don't know if these are pillars or columns. I'm not sure if they're completely detached from the walls or not. It's hard to tell. And again, I haven't been here. So if you're a local and you've been in here, let me know in the box. Holler. Holler if you hear me. There's that mural. Just fancy schmancy pee your pantsy. Got a laurel leaf here. You've got all these faces and statuettes. Rosettes here, shells here, or arrows maybe. Could be arrows, right? They're going to try to work in a Indigenous First Nations theme to fool us. No, it's Canadian. We put buffalo and Indians on there. So you know it's Canadian there, eh, bud? Don't worry about the Sphinx on the top or the Ark of the Covenant on top. There's more of flat earth asterisks, perhaps. It's a nice shot of that mural. Yeah. It's lovely, isn't it? In Canada. Right at the beginning of the dusty ass, bald ass prairie. Here's where they argue about, what legislations they're going to make into law and so on. It's the glorious maple leaf Canadian flag, and there's the Manitoba provincial flag with the coat of arms there. I believe it's got a bison on it and sheaths of wheat. Of course, the Union Jack. But look at this. Look at all these religious themed. I mean, this isn't Indigenous First Nations with bows and arrows or representing World War I, helping out your fellow fallen soldier. Not to mention all this. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Let me get the hell out of here. You know what was in Winnipeg around this time? Cereal and grain farmers and cattle ranchers. I mean, some other industry, obviously, but mainly, aside from being a major rail hub, it's pretty much agricultural economy. But look at all this. Light fixture made to look like a sword. Is this Neptune or somebody, or is this Moses? It looks like Moses. That's Moses. I give you these 15 whoops of 10 commandments. What the hell's Moses doing? Who's this guy? Not sure who this guy is. Some other lawgiver, probably. Again, I'm just as baffled and befuddled as many of you are because I've never seen the inside of this joint aside from these photos. Look at all this around here, too. I mean, come on, man. I mean, we've seen this in U.S. Capitol buildings, right? In almost every state. Some more glorious and enhanced than others, but I mean, this is Canadian land. It almost looks like fasces, but it's, I guess, supposed to represent bundles of wheat. wheat as well. It's the inside of that dome looking up. At first glance, it doesn't really look all that fancy, but I mean, you got all these rosettes and all of this dental molding, and plus all of this around here, you know, just fantabulous. A shot of the statue, one of these statues outside. There's a whole schwack of statues, not only on the building itself. This is on the backside of the building, but all around the grounds, there's statues. There she is. Queen Victoria, of course, with her magical scepter thing and her sphere. We are not amused. We are not amused. Never looked amused. VRI. Victoria. Don't know. No idea. 1837 to 1901. There you go. She's still a big deal in Canada and Canadian land. We still have Victoria Day long weekend, celebrates her birthday. All right, here's some of the other statues. This is, I guess, a cup supposed to represent, you know, the prosperity of the wheat and all that. I guess. Not sure why they're shirtless. I mean, if you're working out in the field harvesting wheat, probably want to be wearing a shirt, but okay. Why does he has this woman in a headlock? I don't really know. And whose feet are these? Is it his feet? Can't be. Have some awfully stumpy leg. I don't know what the hell's going on here. This guy's looking at this foot. Got a foot fetish guy here. I don't know. Again, with some wheat or something. It's not even a full woman. It's just her head. I don't know. Why are you holding a woman's head in this basket? A severed head. It looks like body parts strewn. You got a couple of feet here. You got a lady's head here. I don't even know what all this is. I don't even want to know. What the Sam hell's going on with these weirdos? There ain't no wheat farmers I ever met. So not only you have pillars and columns holding up some of these stones, but, you know, we'll just carve some statues too. Why not, eh? Just have some ladies holding up this stuff. Looking very Greco-Roman as well, right? Sandals and long flowing robes. Not really looking like British Crown themed, which would be sort of pre-Canadian, but a Canadian Association theme, right? Anything to do with the Crown, the UK, the Commonwealth, right? The British Commonwealth. It's definitely looking more like this is Athena or somebody. I don't know. She's holding a scroll here. I don't know what she would have. Oh, be careful. Oh, I thought that was Medusa. Whew. It's not, though. It's Athena. Why do they have Athena in here, you may ask? Well, you know. Deanne in the box. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. Athena's supposed to be the goddess of you know, prosperity and so on, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. I'm glad they're telling me it's Athena. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. I don't know. She almost could be indigenous, you know, with some fancy bead and stitch work here on these. I don't know. Could be part of a headpiece or something. Even this is reminiscent of indigenous First Nations. Because the Mi'kmaq, for example, in the east of Canada, in the northeast of the US, they weren't your traditional, like, feather native indigenous peoples. They wore some feathers, but Their clothing was much different than what you would associate with, your Plains Indians, for lack of a better term, right? With the buckskin tunics and the feathered headdresses and so on. The headdresses were made out of fabric and stitchwork and beadwork and shells, and it was super elaborate. So, I mean, like I said, they're telling us it's Athena, so okay, sure, I don't know. Oh, there's the Medusa. Look out now. Look out now. There's serpents. More serpents. These look like wings, though, to me, anyway. So what's peeking out behind here? A phoenix or something, maybe? Some kind of Freemason symbology hidden within a symbol. Wouldn't be the first time they put symbols within symbols. Oh, there's some lions. You got to have some lions. Now, we do have lions in portions of Canada. Mountain lions, cougars, right? Puma. But these are African lions. What that has to do with Canada, I don't know. Again, probably they'll tell us symbol of strength. The Romans were associated with lions too. So again, you get that Greco-Roman thing. Tartaria and lions as well. Of course, it's been referred to as a Phoenician wave as well. I've got an uncle by marriage who's Greek, and he would tell me, oh, that's Greek symbol there, Malak. That's Greek, okay? So this is some of the carvings or statues, reliefs within the pediment above the main entrance that's held up by those pillars, and it's glorious. Absolutely mind-blowing. Nothing to do with Canada land at all. Again, you're seeing what to me looks like old world attire, very Greco-Roman-esque tunics and togas, sandals, or barefooted. You don't want to be barefoot in Winnipeg, especially November till about April, March, April. Take off. You don't want to do that, Then you got this lady with her crazy helmet with wings, and then another set of wings. I don't know what this is sitting on it. Cherub, I don't know. Cherubus. Sure what that is. A skull, maybe? I don't know. Fasces here in plain sight. Of course, you got to have your bountiful harvest of wheat and apples and grapes and other food. But just incredible. This big sun rays, and behind again that Ra, the sun god symbology. Not seeing any eyes of Ra so far, though. Cherubim, thank you. I was stumbling. I felt I was stumbling over that. You know what? Could be. It could be pre-Ice Age. Well, there we go. There we get some Eastern Indigenous First Nations knowledge firsthand. Old World Mi'kmaq. It's Algonquin tribes versus Athabascan tribes. Algonquin tribes eastern around Great Lakes going up towards the Atlantic, and then Athabascan are what we would call the nomadic Plains Indians. There's another shot from a different angle. You can definitely see what we're told is the axe head in the statue. She's just wearing like sandals, but armored shin guards. This looks like shoulder pads, maybe some armor as well. I don't know. Does it look Viking to you or something? I don't know. I'm going to say Viking. To me, anyway. Or shades of it. Roman mixed with Viking. I don't know. Here's that Sphinx. Because you want to have an Egyptian symbol like a Sphinx in Winnipeg, Manitoba, up in Canada land. Because nothing says Canada. Egypt? No. Shut up. Canada. Don't you know? What are you, an idiot? This screams Canada. Ridiculous. Here's that arc. Just look at that. Again, with the symbology, with the Phoenician shell and the rosette inside it. See, and they do try to work in some indigenous, take it easy, some indigenous iconography, right? You've got your First Nations man here with his feathered head guard and quiver of arrows here. But then you've got this like Roman or Trojan, or I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, man. A drum here with horns, maybe. So they've tried to Canadiana-ize the arc. I don't know what they're doing. You tell me. You tell me in the box what you think. I don't know. Is this a rifle? This looks like it could be a rifle. And this a cannon? I'm just noticing this just now. I think this might be a cannon and a rifle. Or it might just be just an image of a cannon. There's the wheel that they roll it around on, apparently. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. Oh, this is the Legislative Building, Manitoba, in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Canaan-ada, Canaanites. Kanaata. Here's some of the fellers building some of the statues or carving them or something, supposedly. I don't know. I mean, this could be any. It looks like the same style as those weirdo guys with the random feet and ladies' heads sticking out. It looks like the same sort of style, the way they did the eyes and the faces. So, I mean, okay, sure. I can go along with it. It's the same company stamp as some of the other photos, so. Yeah. They're polishing statues with their rears. It's the human version of the buffalo rubbing stone. That's how they get a nice high polished sheen on this, is they rub their butts in the dungarees on them. So we have some construction photos. Now I'm seeing actual cranes here, not hoists and block and tackle. So that's, well, I mean, this is got one hoist here, but I mean, you got cranes, like actual cranes going here at least. So that's something. Makes this a little bit more palatable. And piles of gravel here. One wonders why. Is somebody sifting? I guess, is this aggregate for concrete maybe? I don't even know. But still, you know, in this time period, 1914, 1918, 1920, when they opened it, basically, you know, horse and wagons, horse and buggies, horses and carts working away. There's Ted. That's Fred's Canadian cousin. Birds Hill Sand Company. Well, there you go. This contraption's neat. At least this is just how they haul in beams or larger logs, portions of, you know, pillars. It's basically just two axles that are just joined together instead of having all this restrictive boxwork built around it, right? You can haul big, heavy, long stuff. So that's kind of cool. Another train going by in the background. I don't know if you hear it or not. Now, I'm not sure what's going on here. The previous photo. Okay, I guess they've put brick in for the front stairs. And then they've poured the concrete here, but they've left an opening here that's bricked in. So I don't know what the hell that's all about. Maggot, if you're still in the box, maybe you can explain to me what's going on there. This is all brick here. Now, these aren't super huge, thick stones. These are like 6-inch thick stones. So it's more like big, giant stone tiles rather than big blocks, right? Like this is about as big as you're going to get. So these photos are 1915. Looks like a dog's breakfast inside here. Just a hell of a mess. See here, you can see that this is a hoist. So they do have cranes, as mentioned, but this is a hoist. They're hoisting something off of this cart or wagon here. Now, why they're not using trucks, I don't know. 1915, you had trucks. You had steam trucks and you had gas-powered trucks at this point. This one's a bit of a head-scratcher. First of all, ye olde ladder lean. So you know it's a legit construction photo. So you can see here how thick these are. About 6 inches thick. So I don't know what this guy's doing here. He's got a hammer, but I'm not seeing a chisel. Then I'm seeing the brick in behind here, but then there's a bunch of debris down here. So this is just an odd photo. I'm not sure what's the dealio with this. I would assume that he's just chipping this away, getting it nice and plumb and straight and true, so that he can place another block in there. But why is there all this rubble or all of this? I don't even know. Like, why is this here? This looks like it's like tumbled out of here, and these are actually being removed. Just and sort of in first glance, right? Well, that's the thing, right, Eric? Is as often suspected with many of these old world buildings is they've been given a Victorian tart-up, where you have the original brick structure underneath, and then these clowns have come along and they've renovated it and refaced it, and slapped a new date on it and claimed it as their own, or redesignated it as a government building, a train station, a church, a school, or whatever, a hotel. So I think that a lot of these buildings that have limestone, quote unquote, blocks, they're actually brick underneath, or sandstone blocks, or whatever. There's a nice sort of wider shot. So you can see it's a whole complex of buildings that are on the grounds. And then later on, it's landscaped and yada, yada, right? So you can see that those pillars there, they're sectioned. These look like some of the bases for the pillars. Various size stones. Some lumber here, maybe. A lot going on here. This is a little bit more organized. This is kind of more what I would expect to see on a construction site. And again, if you're a local in Winnipeg, if you can confirm that this is for sure indeed Winnipeg that we're seeing here. It's interesting. Oh, there's a horse there. Guess he's got the day off. So here here's your steam crane. There you go. You got your steam crane here. That makes sense. Looks like there's a few of them being used. This looks strange. I'm seeing a lot of debris, stuff that looks like it's busted up, or I don't know. I don't know. Of course, this entire area is wet. This actually looks like ice and snow. This is a nightmare right now. And here's all the fellers that threw this thing together. September 21st, 1915. Now, these guys I can believe are the guys that are working the cranes and putting in the brick and whatever. But some of these guys, I don't know. I don't know about some of these guys. Is that a kid? It looks like a kid. Get out of there, kid. Go to school. He's a young apprentice, maybe. The fellas in here look like they're kids. That looks like a fake mustache. But quite a believable size workforce. Now, is this a workforce that can be employed to, gussy up an old found building? Absolutely. Old world Micmac saying that center section looks original. Yeah, that's kind of what I think, is the brick underneath. Well, yeah, it has a Masonic plaque. It also has a time capsule. It's got a whole cornerstone with the, dedication that's been carved into it. So here's the Golden Boy sitting atop the dome, which is on top of a cupola, which is on top of a larger dome, which is on top of the tower, which is on top of the legislative building in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Sheaths of wheat, again, supposedly. Okay, sure. And then there's a little torch here. The stylized torch looking very similar to Lady Liberty's torch, if I do say so myself. Just the way the flames are actuated, so it looks like they're in motion. Not actuated, but made to look like they're animated, I should say. Flowing hair. And let's take one more little peek at something here to do with this Golden Boy. One more link to one more website. This actually, I think, is a blog. Oh, no, it's a PDF file from the Government of Manitoba website. So it's going to be chock full of all kinds of truth, people. All kinds of truth. But it's worth having a look at. Again, we're going to get some of that same story, but the Golden Boy is a bronze statue modeled after the Roman god of Mercury. Okay, we've heard all that. Sheaf of wheat, torch, sculpted by that French feller in a foundry in France during World War I. First dumb idea. First of all, why not a Canadian? Why does it always have to be people from other countries that do these? But anyway. After he was complete, he was placed in the ballast portion of a freight steamer. However, instead of going straight to North America, the French ship was commandeered to transport Allied troops and supplies. The Golden Boy, used as a ballast, took 2 long trips through the Mediterranean, 5 transatlantic. The Golden Boy is finally placed atop of the Legislature Building, November 21st, 1919. Originally, he was not covered in gold, but bronze. Then they talk about the gildings and the repair work. And again, they say that since his restoration down here at the bottom, the Golden Boy's torch is no longer lit. The electric cord was providing electricity to the torch was one of the causes of the rust. Jackasses. And then just some stats here on it. So yeah, he was in the ballast of a ship for like 2 years. It's ridiculous. They just basically forgot about him. I think he was wrapped up in canvas or something. It's the goofiest thing in the entire world. Anyway, links for this in the description as well. The Golden Boy. Having absolutely nothing to do with Manitoba whatsoever. And lastly, here today, we're just going to quickly look at this other website. This is as well the government of Manitoba. gov.mb.ca. Archives, exhibits, slideshows, Manitoba Legislative Building. This is where I grabbed a lot of the photos. So I just included this in the link as well. It also gives you, again, a little bit more of the rundown of the photographic work, the building of the structure, and so on. So a link for that is in the description as well if you want to have a look. There's a lot more photos than the ones that I shared. And it's all apparently construction photos. There's that cool steam crane. See, it runs on kind of like a rail, sort of a rotating rail track. It's pretty neat. So yeah, the link for that in the description below as well. So how's everybody doing in the chat? How's everybody doing in the box there? Everybody doing all right? Oh yeah, right? Spell checks drive everybody crazy. What does it say here? That's more people than is the American street. Well, yeah. Well, in the actual construction photos, you might see 5 guys, 5, 6, 8 guys. 5 out of the 8 will be posing, 3 or 4 in the background working. But when it comes to, assembling the whole gang, oh yeah, then they're all going to show up for the photo op. Well, of course not. It says if that statue got modified or copied, they likely added the wheat. Yeah. Yeah, the wheat would be like the torch fits in with the theme. But yeah, the wheat seems like if they perhaps the original Golden Boy statue, he didn't have anything in his left hand at all. Or maybe he had something else. Maybe he had a laurel wreath or something, or who knows, right? That's the other thing that's weird about all these statues and paintings and murals and artwork too, isn't it, Chassis? You see a lot of nudity, whether it might not be full nudity, but bare-breasted ladies in paintings and on statues when everybody it was supposed to be the age of modesty, Just very, very unusual. I accidentally closed a window that I shouldn't have closed here, so I'm just kind of, give me for a second here, flying by the seat of a feller's trousers here. There we go. I accidentally closed down the tab I had open for the Rumble live stream. By the way, links for Rumble, BitChute, MeWe, email. If you want to send me some photos or if you got some ideas for the show, I try to keep it Canadian content now, but not always. It's not carved in stone like the goofy dates we're given on these buildings. But yeah, if you want to contact me, email is probably your best bet. And if you're not already following over on BitChute or Rumble, I would encourage you to do so if you don't mind. Sometimes if a movie is blocked here on the HooTubes, right, it'll still be up on either BitChute or Rumble or both. Just once in a while it happens, right? So there you go. I think that's going to do it. I think that's going to seal the deal here for Frankie and New West Reset and the Hermetic secrets of the Winnipeg Legislature. The New West Reset Live, episode 54, here on this Friday, February the 23rd, 2024. 15 of you watching. If you haven't already, give a guy one of these or one of these. 16 of you now. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed and you're kicking around the idea, I would be greatly appreciated. Moving towards 1,500 so we can do a nice mudflood walkabout meet and greet subscriber meetup this summer in Inglewood, not California though. No, not Inglewood, Los Angeles, California. Inglewood, Calgary, Alberta. Purdy, Alberta. Probably look at early summer, so it's not too hot, but late enough past spring where it's not raining. You know, the weather can be dodgy here in the early summer, but we'll have a go at her there, bud. Of course, keep your peepers peeled on the page here on the channel. Your ocular sphericals. A couple of road trips in the works. Definitely going to go up to Edmonton this summer. Show you my old stomping grounds, and we'll hit the Legislature Building up there. Old churches and Freemasons Lodge and old schools and all kinds of cool stuff up there. Who knows where a guy will get to this summer? With the kinder weather, my circle of exploration here in Calgary expands quite exponentially. So we could hit other parts of the city that I don't normally go to in the winter time, if at all possible. So again, as mentioned, links for everything in the description box below, as well as the New West Reset location map created by Cousin Vinny. As well as links for the Wikipedia, the blogs, and the PDFs and everything that we covered here on the show for the wacky, weird, wild wonders of Winnipeg and the Legislative Building. So once again, thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate spending time with you here on this Friday. Thanks for kicking off your weekend here with me, your Friday. Of course, keep it tuned. This coming Sunday, boots on the ground. And then you had your sneak peek at your midweek. Fighting Snow, Montreal, 1950s. And then we'll see you here next Friday for another live one. So until then, take care, everybody. Have yourselves a good one. Take care out there. And we'll see you on the next one, all right? Thanks a lot. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.